I've been into fragrances for quite a while, and when I first got into them years ago, I got into Green Irish Tweed from Creed really quick, and I thought that was the best fragrance out there for quite a while. And then I got into Creed Virgin Island Water and Rose Elysium, and those kind of took the top spot for my favorite fragrance, and really been battling out with those two for years now. Those were my top two. I couldn't really figure out which one I liked more, but those were definitely my top two. Well, finally, this late in the game, just recently, just a few months ago, I actually got a couple clones of a fragrance that kind of took the mountaintop now, and it's definitely my new favorite fragrance. It's dethroned those two. So I got a few clones of it, and I'm going to do a clone off today and see which one I think is the closest to it. But since I like this fragrance so much, you know, and the ones that are on the mountaintop for me, I got to get the real thing, you know, to pay homage to the real art of perfumery. So let's just, I don't usually go into the boxes in the presentation much, but let's go over this. This is a Nishane Nefs. So it comes in this box, and this is a real nice box it comes in. It's like this suede, and we'll open up, just look at the presentation. It's like in this silk thing here, and the bottle and the cap and everything's just real thick and heavy and like brass, and it's just a beautiful presentation on this. All right, so that's enough talk about that. We'll start getting into the fragrance here. All right, when you first spray this thing, man, the way it opens up is just stunning. This is masterpiece perfumery here. It's fruity, juicy, boozy, oody, sweet, warm, spicy. It's just amazing. This is what angels wear. This is a God tier fragrance, if you ask me. The perfumer had to have divine intervention to come up with this thing. It's just it's perfect fragrance. I've worn this in cold weather. I've worn this in like 85 degree to the gym. You know, I sprayed lightly. It worked great in every situation. It works better in cool weather, but it actually works pretty good in hot weather and at the gym. You'd be surprised. And it's a stunner, man. I've got a lot of positive attention on this thing, and the honey and fig note is really play a big role in this thing. They're just a real nice couple notes in here that smell really expensive, and the whiskey smell is really expensive too. And then the dry down and the transitions on this thing are just really good. The oud shows up late in the dry down and shows itself more, but there's so many notes going on this thing, and as you can see up on the screen here, I have them up, and there's just so much going on here, but it's so well blended. Not one note stands out, but if I sit here and smell on it, I can kind of pick up on each of these notes, but yeah, you can kind of pick up a little bit of every single one of the notes or whatever. That's the amazing part of it or whatever. And the performance on this thing is just nuclear. So this is just a perfect fragrance for me, and I could almost wear this every day with all the fragrances I got. I don't want to do that, but I got to ask myself, you know, all the time now, is like, would I rather smell like Nefs today or this? But you know, I don't want to wear the same thing every day. But yeah, man, the top notes, the honey, saffron, fig, violet, and sage, you can kind of pick those up if you search around, but you're mainly going to get the honey, saffron, and the fig. And then in the middle notes, you're definitely going to pick up the rose, nutmeg, a little bit of the jasmine and the geranium. Don't get a whole lot of the osmanthus till a little bit later towards the base. They have it in the mid. And then when it really starts drying down, you pick up more of that oud, whiskey, vanilla, osmanthus, as I said, vanilla, leather, amber. You got that Gurjan balsam, cinnamon, and cedar. And I actually pick up the cinnamon more in the mid notes. So yeah, just look at those notes. And this is really great perfumery here. So anyways, enough about that. I got a bunch of clones here. So I'm going to get into telling you which one of these clones comes the closest. And I've worn these several times and tested them throughout the day side by side. So I've done this test several times. So here, I'm going to give you guys the result. All right, so now in the opening, I will say the opening's like the first, you know, like maybe up to like 4 or 5 minutes. And that's all the opening lasts, and it starts drying down. So the clear winner in this one was the Alexandria. They call it Nefarious. And that was a clear winner. It was really close. It wasn't spot on, but it was really close. And this is a high quality fragrance, so for cheap fragrance like this to get close in the opening was pretty good. Okay, in second place was Mirror Image on that. It's off a little bit. The Alexandria was a lot closer in the opening than the Mirror Image was. The Mirror Image was off a little, and the Dew was off a little bit more even than the Mirror Image. So yeah, that's the rankings for the opening. All right, as it starts drying down, you're kind of in the mid, you know, maybe the next, you know, from the like 5 minutes on to like, you know, 45 minutes to an hour. There was a clear winner here. It wasn't even close. It was Mirror Image. This one was almost identical, almost spot on to the original. I had to go back and forth each time, and it was hard to even tell much of a difference. It's eerily close. Really impressed with that. And while the Alexandrias had opened good, once it started drying down, it got off a little bit. It's still pretty good, pretty close, but you know, I don't know. I'm going to say you're, I don't know, 85%, 80% there. So yeah, you're not quite there. Whereas like this one's like 99% there or something, 98. I don't know. It's really close. It's hard to even tell the difference. And the last place on this one is Dua. Yeah, it's off quite a bit. It's maybe 75% there, maybe 80%. I'm gonna somewhere in that, I don't know, on the percentage. It's off enough that it's noticeable from these two, but it's still a nice smelling fragrance, and I like it, and it gets you in that wheelhouse. And surprisingly, the performance isn't blasting on this Duo one too. Generally on performance, like they're gonna, you know, win that battle, and they're not winning against these. It's all pretty equal. And actually, the Nishane Nefs kind of takes the lead on that one. Or really, nobody's beating them out at performance. All right, now the dry down after, you know, like 45 minutes to an hour to the rest of the time, you know, we'll say, you know, in the next 4 or 5 hours. There's a clear winner in this one. Mirror image, once again, almost identical. It just kind of stayed right there, transitioned the same way, and was almost spot on to the Nefs. I was really surprised how close it was. And like this one's trailing off even a little bit more. In second place is Alexandria. The percentage-wise, it moves down even just a little bit more. It comes off. Whatever I said on the first one, it's a little less. And then Dua is again in third place on this one. It's just not, it's a little bit off. They got the notes mixed up just a little bit or whatever. And like I said, the performance is still like that on Dua. Dua is not outperforming these at all, which is surprising. Most of the time, Dua really outperforms them. So yeah, there's a clear winner in these three. It was this mirror image. That's the clear winner for the overall. If you want to overall, you're just off in the opening, but as it starts drying down all the way through the dry down, this is almost spot on. It's a clear winner, okay? Very impressive. And this is a nice choice too, this Nefarious by Alexandria. It's nice, good choice, but it's just not as good as the mirror image. It's just not there. It opens the best. I love the opening on Nefs, so if you want the opening, this is the closest, and it's pretty close. And but you know, that only lasts a minute or whatever, a few minutes. So you're stuck with the fragrance the rest of the time. So if this is winning that, I mean, it's a clear winner. And in third place in this one is Dua, so it's definitely third place in all the categories. It's still a nice fragrance, but it's just not as good as the other one. They didn't nail it down. And layering tip, this is what I've been doing. I do this with these 3 clones. I got these decants of Nefs. I started getting the decants at first, and I'm just layering the Nefs with these, and man, it really brings these up. If you layer the Nefs with any one of these, man, it levels it up. So I highly recommend layering with any of these. Just get you a little decant, and yeah, you'll be amazed at how more close to the real thing. And if you've never smelled the real thing, you'll just be amazed at how the quality of the fragrance changes, because it still kind of transitions and layers with the other one. It doesn't mess none of that up or whatever. It's really nice when you do that. So highly recommend that little pro tip. All right, if you don't want to just take my word for it, this is the pinnacle of fragrance and the art of perfumery at its highest level. Ask my boy Inky here. He ain't gonna lie to you. Look at that face. This is our favorite, Nishane Nefs. This is masterpiece perfumery. Me and Inky love this stuff. So if you made it this far, like, subscribe, and comment. That helps the algorithm. And hey, we appreciate you guys taking the time to watch.